I don't even know where to start after what we just saw at Martinsville. Seriously, this weekend had two completely different kinds of chaos, and both of them are going to stick with NASCAR fans for a long time. If you live and breathe NASCAR like we do, you know that this sport can give you absolute whiplash, and that is exactly what happened on Sunday. Before we dive into the absolute madness of what went down on the track, if you want real honest NASCAR talk, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. This channel is just getting started. We are pushing for 1,000 subs, and every single one of you who hits that button helps us build this community of true racing fans. All right, let us get right into the craziest moment of the entire weekend because I am still trying to wrap my head around it. We have to talk about Bubba Wallace and Carson Hocevar. What in the world was that? We all know short track racing brings out the bump and run, but this was a completely different level of frustration and disaster. Early in the race, the tension was already stacking up, track position was an absolute premium, and everybody was fighting tooth and nail for every single inch. Carson Hocevar, who has been trying to prove himself and run aggressively, was racing Bubba hard. But then, seemingly out of nowhere, Bubba Wallace absolutely loses it. We are talking about an unprovoked level of aggression that left everyone watching in pure shock. Hocevar shoves his nose in where maybe there was not a lot of room, but Bubba's reaction was massive. He just snapped, hooking Hocevar and sending him spinning in a confusing display of retaliation. It completely wrecked both of their chances to maintain any forward momentum during a crucial point in the schedule. For Bubba, this is a massive blow that he simply could not afford right now. He had an incredibly solid car beneath him all day long, and his extremely dedicated crew chief had perfectly set him up with a highly decent pit strategy, but instead of walking away with a much-needed top 10 finish, he ends up salvaging absolutely nothing from the wreckage. It is an absolute disaster for his season points and his playoff hopes. You look at the replay, and you just see the sheer anger. It validates the critics who say he lets the pressure get to him, and it hurt his team immensely. Hocevar was deeply frustrated, obviously because he felt he was racing fairly. But the real storyline here is exactly how Bubba completely derailed his own promising race through an unforced error. It was an insane incident that brought out a massive caution, completely resetting the field and changing the entire complexion of the race. The momentum shift was palpable. You could feel the air get sucked right out of his pit box. DNF or not, the damage was completely done, and it leaves us asking what is going through his head. I want to know what you guys think about this. Do you think Bubba's controversial move was justified by hard racing, or did he cross a massive line and let his emotions completely ruin a solid points day? Drop your thoughts down below because I know this is going to be a heavily debated topic for weeks to come. Now, let's flip the page because on the complete opposite end of the emotional spectrum, we witnessed an absolute masterclass in resilience and redemption. While Bubba and Carson were creating chaos and frustration, Chase Elliott was quietly putting together a legendary performance. Denny Hamlin completely dominated early on in the afternoon, officially securing the pole position during qualifying and showing an incredible burst of raw speed that made it instantly look like he was simply going to run away with the entire thing without breaking a sweat. Hamlin was practically untouchable for the first two stages, building a massive lead and making the rest of the field look like they were standing absolutely still. But as we all know, modern NASCAR is a high-speed game of intense strategy, and this is precisely where Chase Elliott and his brilliant crew chief completely flipped the script on the entire garage area. During a late race caution, the pressure was at an all-time high. The pit strategy gamble was the defining moment of the afternoon. While Hamlin and a few others opted for 4 tires, giving up crucial track position, Elliott's team made the gutsy call for 2 tires. It was a massive risk. If the caution flag flew again, or if Hamlin's fresh tires heated up too quickly, Elliott would be a sitting duck. But instead, Chase drove a masterclass. He held off a furious charge from Hamlin, maintaining a flawless racing line and hitting his marks perfectly for the final 40 laps. Watching Elliott brilliantly navigate through heavily congested lap traffic while an incredibly aggressive Hamlin breathed heavily right down his neck lap after lap gave me absolute goosebumps. It was tense, it was beautiful, and it was everything we love about NASCAR. When Chase crossed that finish line, the margin of victory was razor thin, but the emotional weight of that win was absolutely monumental. This was truly not just another standard victory to add to the trophy case. This was a profoundly historic and emotionally charged full-circle moment for everyone involved. Exactly 11 years to the day after making his NASCAR debut, Chase Elliott found himself back in victory lane at the very same track. It is the kind of special storytelling that you just cannot write. After a tough period filled with doubts, injuries, and immense pressure to live up to his family legacy, this win kickstarts his season and completely validates his championship potential. The relief in his voice over the radio was undeniable. It was a triumph that reminded every single fan why they fell in love with this sport. As we digest everything that just happened, from the confusing disaster of Bubba Wallace to the beautiful legacy-building win of Chase Elliott, we also have to look ahead. The NASCAR world is going to take a brief pause for the upcoming Easter break, giving these teams a much-needed chance to reset, rebuild their wrecked cars, and completely evaluate their strategies heading into the summer stretch. This break comes at a perfect time for guys like Bubba who desperately need to cool down and refocus, and it gives Chase's team 2 weeks to ride this incredible wave of momentum. On top of that, we have some exciting Hall of Fame news dropping soon, and you know we will be covering every single detail of that right here. The duality of this incredibly beautiful sport is truly unmatched. It is exactly why we passionately tune in every single week. So, I have to ask you guys the ultimate question before we wrap up. Does Chase Elliott's incredible win completely change his season outlook, and do you see him making a massive run for the championship now? And do not forget to let me know where you stand on that wild Bubba Wallace crash. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to be part of our journey to our first major milestone, please go ahead and drop a like, jump into the comments, and hit that subscribe button. We are building something special for real NASCAR fans, and I cannot wait to see you all in the next video.